I ranked every town in World of Warcraft from worst to best, but not from the perspective of the god-killing main character, but from a normal citizen. In the last video, I covered every town in Eastern Kingdom, and now I'm gonna do the same thing for Kalimdor. And lastly, my definition of a town is a place with at least one living quarter, like an inn or a house, NPCs that are friendly to at least one out of the two factions. They have to have at least 2 non-military buildings, and named on the map. So let's start at the tippy top of the continent. Night Haven, a druid-only village, surrounded by mountains on all sides. And for safety on top of that, the entire place is populated by the most powerful druids in all of Azeroth. So on safety, you probably can't get any better than this. And living standards is also high, with the most scenic environment in probably all of the game. I think the real problem is, how would you even move here if you're just a normal guy? But that's not the question I'm trying to answer. So I'll put it in S tier. Going in to the only non-infected part of Felwood, Whisper Wind, the small town, not the person, having the only clean moon well in the entire zone. This town is not only for Alliance though, it's a neutral town for both Horde, populated with Taurin too. For safety, I gotta compliment it. Yes, it's in the middle of Felwood, but due to it having a lot of giant tree guys defending on every direction, and also the town being popular for both Taurin and Night Elf, meaning neither the Horde or the Alliance will attack. So as long as you stay in the town, you will be safe. But livability. Due to you being stuck in the town, it will be pretty unpleasant to do any sort of business here, because any trade routes have to go through literal Felwood. And if you're some sort of farmer, you're also kind of fucked. You can't really grow anything here either. So for that, this town is better as a military outpost than the actual home, so I'll have to put it into D tier. Next up, Everlock, a small little frozen village in the middle of Winterspring, made up of 6 small houses surrounded by a wall. It's the typical goblin village. It has 5 houses, 3 residential, 1 shop and 1 observatory. Just walking around, they're very spacious, but I could imagine it's very cold here. And on top of that, due to it being extremely isolated, it will detract from the point. But for safety, it has a large wall and there's no enemy factions in the entire zone, so it's obviously a lot safer than. So I will average it out to C tier. Lower standard of living due to the cold and isolation, but higher safety due to the isolation and the walls. Next on the list, Astronor. Ignore the fact it's burning, it's normal. An Alliance village in the middle of a Horde zone, made up of 5 buildings, 3 residential, 1 inn and 1 shop. And I gotta say the most obvious thing, safety not the highest, due to it being surrounded by the Horde on both sides, and literally being on fire. You might say, yes, it's on an island, so only 2 entrances on the bridges, but it's still on fire, so it doesn't count. So on safety I will put it very low. But on standard living, it's not that bad if you ignore the fires. It has an inn, stable, profession trainer and a flight master. Most things you will need. But due to it being under attack by the Horde, I would have to put it pretty low and throwing it into E tier. It's probably nice when it's not on fire. Next up, Asure. And I gotta say, right off the bat, this place sucks. Yes, it has a forge and a flight path and some profession trainers, but genuinely, all of the houses are in shambles. There's not one house without a giant hole in the roof. Most of them don't even have floors. So standard of living is terrible. And also, safety, it doesn't have any walls, but the rest of the island isn't really that dangerous. Safety is just a bit under average. But genuinely, every house is broken and most people sleep on the. I gotta throw this into F tier. Exodor, the only Alliance capital on the continent. It's kinda average for a capital. It has all the essentials, profession trainer, flight master, auction house, bank, and all that. But due to it being in a crashed spaceship and like half the city being broken, the standard of living is obviously gonna be under average. But for safety, most of the town is underground and it has pretty much only 2 entrances. I gotta put over average for safety. Standard of living is pretty average. And a problem with standard of living, I have no idea what you would work with. There's no harbor, there's no large forge, There's no large farms outside either, so if you live in the city, what do? You trade? Not even that. It's really to the side, to the edge of the map. So for normal people, I don't really see a reason you would want to live in this town. Yes, it has a lot of the infrastructure due to it being a crashed spaceship, so if you were rich before the crash, it's probably nice to live here right now. But for I guess a normal Draenei, I would probably move out, so I'm gonna put it into C tier. Next up, the giant cannon, aka Blightwater. And on safety, I gotta say it, it's good. Due to it being on an isolated island, and the entire zone surrounding it is controlled by the Horde. There's pretty much no way to attack it. And also, it has a giant cannon, an entire airport, and a military base. But there's a negative, due to it being a military base, in a war, it will be a military target. But for standards of living, due to it being a goblin town, it will be quite run down. But for amenities, it's pretty good. It has everything you could need. An inn, a mailbox, a stable, anvil/forge, profession trainer, and a flight master. Surprisingly, the goblin town doesn't even have a bank or auction house. And for some reason, Kalek is here. I have no idea why, comment if you know. For most races, it would probably be a B tier, but if you're judging from the perspective of a goblin, it's probably A tier, so we're gonna put it there. Next up, Orgrimmar, probably the biggest city in the entire game just after Stormwind. And for safety, it's very good, due to the entire thing being surrounded by unpassable mountains and the only entrances having giant walls. It's the political capital of the Horde and it has tons of guards everywhere. But due to it being destroyed in the Siege of Orgrimmar, I would have to downgrade a couple of points for the simple fact it can't be that safe because it has fallen to the enemy previously. On standard of living, I would say it's probably pretty good. Yes, it's a negative that it has no real arable land around it, but due to pretty much every blimp in the game going in and out of this city, it is a quintessential trade route for the Horde. So if you're a merchant, it would be great to live here. And on top of that, it obviously have pretty much every single amenity you could ask for. Profession trainers, forge, auction house, bank, and more. I would say it's pretty great. But I would have to subtract a point due to it falling to the enemy during the Siege of Orgrimmar, putting it into A tier. Next on the list, Razer Hill, a very small village at the outskirts of Orgrimmar, made up of 4 buildings. 1 inn, 2 military, and 1 forge. And first of all, safety. It's right next to the capital of the Horde, but it used to have a lion's fortress very close to it, but it was wiped out after the cataclysm. And the whole place is surrounded by walls on all sides. So on safety, I would rate it very highly. And standard of living, on standard of living, it has most things you could ask for. In mailbox, forge, profession trainer, and a flight path. But in-game, there are no houses, there are only the inn to sleep in, so that may be a problem. But due to the high safety and a bit underwhelming standard of living, I'll put it into B tier. And next up, Senjin, a even smaller village south of Razer Hill, made up of 6 huts. Here's the problem, it has no inn, no forge. Yes, it has a mailbox and a profession trainer and a flight master, but still no inn. It has houses for normal people, but they're more like huts. And on safety, there's no wall and the houses are closer to tents. So I gotta say, it's kinda terrible safety, but it's a Horde controlled zone and there are no enemies close by, so it gets a little bump for that. And the people in the tents are sleeping on the ground. So I gotta say it, it's not that good. And I will put it into D tier. Next up, Echo Isles, the starting place for the troll. And on safety, it's pretty good. It's a literal island surrounded by walls on all sides, and it has a fortress in the middle full of guards. But it's not all good. For the housing situation, I gotta say, it's terrible. There are literally 3 houses on the entire island, and that's not even an exaggeration. Where do all these people sleep? On the ground? And even though I just complimented the safety, I also gotta say, one of the islands, the one furthest to the north, is still under Naga control, so there's fighting on the island. for the reason it has 3 houses with a population of like 50, and they're still fighting on the island against the enemies, I gotta say, it's E tier. Next up, Ratchet. And for safety, it's getting an immediate bonus, because it's a dual faction town. Both Horde and Alliance can be here. It means Horde and Alliance won't attack it. And also, it has pretty much every amenity you could ever ask for. Inn, mailbox, forge, bank, auction house, profession trainer and flight master. And also an entire dock. So you can take the boat straight over to Booty Bay. But going back to safety, it doesn't have any walls, but it doesn't have any enemy factions. So the only real enemy to them is like wild animals or roaming bandits. And they also have guards everywhere. So I would put it at over average on the safety front. And for standard of living, the houses are kind of cramped, and there's no real houses for living. The only place you can sleep is like the inn. I'm gonna put Ratchet into B tier due to them not having any normal houses. Next up, Crossroads, in the middle of the Barrens, and it's very safe due to it having walls on all sides and it being a horde controlled zone. And surrounding Crossroads, there are like 3 different military bases held by the horde. So it's very safe. But for standard living, not so. It has an inn, a forge, and 4 residential buildings. But for the houses outside of the inn, they all sleep on the ground. For any place where you sleep on the ground, you will not have high standard of living. Yes, it has all the amenities, flight master, profession trainer, forge, and all that. But you sleep on the ground, so you can't put it higher than D tier. Next location, Sun Rock. It's also a very small village, made up of 3 houses, 1 residential on a hill, the inn, and a general store or community center, or whatever you wanna call it. And for standard of living, it's just below average. The only house in the entire village with floor is the inn, so you're at least not sleeping on the floor. But the community center place, the store, has dirt floor. And the same thing with a small house on the hill. It has a forge and a flight path and some profession trainers, but not much else. For safety, it's in a horde controlled area, surrounded by mountains on all sides with only 1 entrance. So it's very safe. So I'm gonna give it a C tier. Slightly below average standard of living, but safety is high. Next up, Phamore. Probably would have been nice if it wasn't nuked by the horde. Dual faction location, Centerland. And I gotta say, it's not much of a town. It only has like 3 houses, which are all residential. It has a forge, it has a flight path, it has profession trainers, and a giant mana moon well thingamajig in the middle of the town. But because it's a very green and beautiful and nice place, I gotta say, it's probably over average standard of living. And because it's dual faction, I gotta say it's probably over average safety too. So I'm gonna put it into B tier. Next up, Shadow Prey, a medium-sized troll village at the edge of the world with a beautiful sight all over the ocean. It has its own harbor, no public transportation boats unfortunately, but you could probably go out fishing. It's made up of 7 buildings, 1 inn, mostly residentials and stores for the rest. And for safety, due to it being on the edge of the map, with only 1 main entrance, except the sea, except the ocean of course, I would say it's very safe. And the rest of the zone being relatively peaceful. A flight master, profession trainers, and most things you could ask for. Standard of living wise, it's very good. It's a lot better than Tauren villages because you don't have to sleep on the floor. All of the houses are lifted off the ground, and for any travelers, there are bunk beds. You can sleep in a net. If you lived in this village, you could probably work as a fisherman, so I would say it's probably a very nice place to live, putting it into B tier. Next up, Bloodhoof, another medium-sized village. And it has the same problem as most places for Taurens. You sleep on the ground. All the houses but 1, the big one, have open floors. All the houses except 2, the inn and the military base, has floors that you sleep on, which is kinda terrible. But otherwise for the village, it's a nice place to live. It's very safe due to a river on two sides and the entire zone being horde controlled and even walled off by a giant wall. So for safety, I'm gonna put it over average due to being next to Thunderbluff and also a horde controlled zone. But for standard of living, I'm gonna put it under average because most houses sleep on the floor, throwing it into C tier. Next town, Thunderbluff. And I'm gonna say it, safety is very good due to the entire thing being on top of the mountains with only one entrance, an elevator, which could be easily destroyed or turned off in case of an attack. And also it being one of the capital cities, it obviously has a lot of guards. Now for standard of living. It has the same problem for a lot of Tauren villages, but not at the same extent. A lot of the floors are just dirt, but there are plenty of houses with wood floors in here. And for anyone saying, maybe Tauren just like open floor, if they do, why does the High Chief live on a wood floor, but the rest of the population has to have dirt floor? But other than that, I would say it's pretty good. It has all the amenities, auction house, forge, bank, and most things you could need. No public transport though. I would just say it's a pretty average capital city. Obviously a lot better than most places to live in WoW, but still not that good. Throwing it into an A tier for its safety. Next place, Moyak. Moyak, yes. A small village made up of 3 houses. One inn, one shop, and one like little tent place. It has most things you can need, flight path, profession trainer, forge, but it's very cramped due to it having tons and tons of Tauren living there. Probably better than most Tauren villages due to all but the little shack having wood floors and all the usual amenities. For safety, I would also say it's pretty average. Yes, it's in a dangerous zone, but still, it has probably like a battalion worth of Tauren warriors everywhere. There's actually an insane amount of guards in this place, but the rest of the zone is pretty dangerous with tons of dangerous animals and even an ogre stronghold. These parts of the safety cancel each other out. Like many places, if you stay in the village, you're probably safe, but if you go outside, you'll probably get killed. Due to the rest of the zone being pretty unhospitable, I'm gonna put it into D tier. Next up, Gadget. It's a goblin village. It has most things you can need. A bank, an auction house, all the shops, profession trainers, and even a harbor and a flight path. So the standard of living is pretty good, but it's in the middle of the desert, so outside of trading, it's not a lot of jobs here for normal people. I would say, due to it having peace with both of the main factions, the Horde and Alliance, it's a lot safer than average, and it's surrounded by walls on all sides. So safety, I would probably give it a B tier, but for standard of living, I would also give it over average, due to it having nice houses, so I'm gonna put this into A tier. A very nice place to live if you're a trader.